Good day. Today I will be reporting about my topic, no party system, specifically the case of Myanmar. But before that, we shall go back to the definition of a no party system. In a no party system, no political parties are allowed to compete with the ruler's authority, or the case can also be that activities of political parties are limited at certain levels by the government. In the case of Myanmar, the State Peace and Development Council enacted the political parties registration law, initially designed to exclude the main opposition party and ensure a victory for the ruling military. The main opposition party is the National League for Democracy, which won the 1990 elections but was denied power by the military junta. At present, the law still limits political parties that are not military-backed in their operations. Before we dig deeper into the provisions of this law, we shall have an overview of Myanmar. Myanmar operates de jure as a unitary assembly independent republic under its 2008 constitution. The Economist Intelligence Unit rated Myanmar as authoritarian regime in 2019. This is following the military having given up some, but not all power following the dismantlement of the Burmese military dictatorship, which ruled from 1962 to 2011. In 2008, a new constitution was drafted by the military, which allocated a quarter of the seats in parliament to the military itself. It was the military's way of easing its military rule in Myanmar. However, also enshrined in the constitution is the ability for the military to flex its muscles when it senses that those newfound freedoms might encroach on its hold over defense in Myanmar. Most political parties in Myanmar are tiny to small. Only 4 have national presence. First is the military-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party. Second, National League for Democracy. Third, National Unity Party, or previously called the Burma Socialist Program Party. And fourth, the National Democratic Force. Before proceeding, let me remind you that we should not confuse Myanmar's no-party system to a dominant one-party or multi-party system, because a dominant one-party exists when a single party regularly wins almost every election, even though opposition parties are allowed to function freely, while multi-party system is where political parties across the political spectrum run for national election, and all have the capacity to gain control of government offices separately or in coalition. Provisions in the law were incorporated in particular with a view to preventing pro-democracy activist and NLD leader Aung San Suu Kyi from being a candidate in forthcoming elections. Among the edicts in the document is the condition that no one with dual citizen relations, including parents or children, can ever be president. Because both of Suu Kyi's adult sons are British citizens, as was her late husband, she is unable then to run for presidency. Aung San Suu Kyi, on whose charisma the party was centered, was under house arrest on and off for a total of 15 years, whereas virtually all party leaders were in prison or in exile. The law requires the NLD to choose between participating in the elections and keeping its leader and hundreds of its unjustly imprisoned members. With this, the NLD was put in the pedestal, resulting to its choice of boycotting the elections in 2010 and paved the way for the military-backed USDP to become the governing party. This is a choice that no political party should have to make and is a transparent attempt to knock the main opposition party out of the running. Candidates are allowed to campaign only in their respective constituencies and not enable party leadership and others to campaign nationwide as in previous elections. This is to limit the party's connection to the populace. Political parties that champion democracy remain politically marginalized, which is evidenced by the lack of substantive negotiations on constitutional change and conflict resolution. Despite initiatives to review the Constitution, every effort is doomed because of the military's power to veto any constitutional amendments which they believe that can disintegrate national stability or so the military's hold in the government. The Union Election Commission threatens to prosecute campaigners calling for a boycott of the upcoming elections. The UEC is empowered to censor messages, especially those that defame the military or tarnish its name. It requires political parties to submit manuscripts to the UEC before broadcast and empowers the UEC to grant permission or to require political parties to edit the manuscript before broadcast. Prohibited speech includes that which defames the nation or tarnishes the image of the nation, and speech that brings about the disintegration of the Tatmadaw or defames the Tatmadaw or Myanmar's military. The ability of political parties or politicians to speak candidly about the performance of the incumbent government and the military is extremely limited, or else they will be prosecuted. Apart from issues with campaigning, people from certain ethnic groups are not allowed to stand for election. Myanmar's political parties tend not to be differentiated by their platforms. As in other Southeast Asian countries, politics is personalized and voters differentiate between parties based on their leaders. For example, voters are aware of the National League for Democracy's leader, the charismatic Aung San Suu Kyi, but not necessarily its position on issues. This is because Suu Kyi has long been a political personality, not only for her charisma, but because of her father, Aung San, whose efforts has led Myanmar to its independence back then. Aung San Suu Kyi is still the most popular leader in the country, and NLD remains well positioned to grab the biggest share of total seats. The NLD won the 2020 Myanmar general election on November 8 in a landslide, again winning supermajorities in both houses. The army alleged fraud, threatened to take action. In the early morning of February 1, 2021, the day Parliament was set to convene, the Tatmadaw detained State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and other members of the ruling party. The military handed power to Military Chief Min Aung Hlaing and declared a state of emergency for 1 year, after which they will have another election. Key takeaways. Despite its shared powers in the parliament, the military's interests are already safeguarded due to a constitutionally guaranteed block of 25% of seats in each chamber. Political parties that are not military-backed still struggle up to this day with their party operations due to the existing political parties registration law, which limit their activities. Amendments in the constitution still lies on the military's hands, and the recent coup d'etat posed by the military only goes to show that Myanmar is still far from its transition towards a democracy where all party systems are acknowledged and can function freely. So that would be all with my report about the no-party system in Myanmar. Thank you, and once again, good day.